Hello and welcome to the Archery Show and the live draw for the 2022 Hyundai Archery World Cup Finals in Tlaxcala, Mexico. I'm Karen Bashir and guiding us through the next hour, welcome back, Nikki Hunt. Nikki, it's the end of the season. It's the big finale. You've competed in this one. Just how important is it?
It's absolutely huge. It's a massive money event. There's a lot on the line. You really want to win this one. So, yeah, they'll be really ready to go.
When you say ready to go, you've talked about athlete preparation within the World Cups and throughout the season. Has there been some special preparation going on for these athletes leading into this?
Yeah, it'll be quite mixed and varied in what they're doing. So essentially, they need to be competing at their normal distance, running through their normal technique, their normal mental programme. But also some of these archers have been going out to other countries. Mike Stosser has been over to Great Britain to train with Ella Gibson as well. So you can see a little bit of extra competition for these guys as well in the build up to this event.
And we are in this still in this strange transition period. What Tokyo Olympic Games being delayed by a year, that's then shortened the run into Paris 2024. Does it add extra pressure on this competition, or does it take it off? Or?
I don't know, for the Olympic guys, the recurve side of this, I guess this is a fantastic opportunity really to trial things out. The Olympic Games is obviously the pinnacle of the recurve side of the sport. So yeah, great opportunity, shoot against the top archers ahead of, qualification is going to start from next year.
Big year for the compounders though in terms of the Olympic Games as well, because officially World Archery applied for compound to be part of the Games perhaps as early as 2028 in Los Angeles. First, give us a summary of what that looks like, because it's not compound as we know it.
No, they've applied for it to be an indoor 18-metre competition, which we see throughout our winter season normally. So yeah, that's the bit it's gone through. What a place to have it in, in America, the home of the compound bow, where it was really designed and developed as well. So really exciting to see how that bid goes. And
in terms of coming back to these finals in Mexico, travel restrictions have created problems over the past couple of years, but it looks like we've got the full complement back. Perhaps not everyone we would have predicted and some breakthrough athletes, but it does look like we're kind of getting back to the new norm.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, getting the Koreans back in this season has been huge. Obviously, they didn't compete in 2021 due to their kind of restrictions. So, yeah, it's looked much more like a normal kind of year.
Yeah, and what are you expecting here in terms of the conditions? You shot in Mexico. I think the World Cup finals were most recently there in 2015. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Mexico can be really hot. It can be really windy. This time of year might see a bit of rainfall as well, possibly. So perhaps a mixture of conditions.
Does that level the playing field?
It can do, yeah. Wind does level the playing field because it becomes a little bit more of a lottery. If it's dead still, it's down to pure skill, and then we really do see the top of the top come through. So, yeah, the conditions will always play a part.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I said this breakthrough season. I think because of the global pandemic and the restrictions on travel, we've seen sport across the board as well as archery develop in silos. Countries have not been able to travel outside of their own borders. So we've seen some young athletes coming through, and perhaps some athletes that what maybe we saw a while ago as juniors or youth athletes coming through and now breaking through because they've had to go off and concentrate on practice. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's affected different people in different ways, isn't it? Some people have had a great opportunity to train because they haven't perhaps had to go to work or into university or study like they would have before. Much more time to, do your sport. Archery is a lot of hours. It's a skill sport. These archers will be probably training, most of them 6 days a week, every week, up to, you can be on the field for 6-8 hours a day just because it's that repetition. It's not a sprint, it's a bit of a marathon.
It really is. You're quite right. Well, the live draw is coming up from Tlaxcala very shortly, and we've got Nikki here in the studio giving us her expert opinion. But we've got a fantastic roving reporter out in Mexico, Linda Ochoa Anderson. Can you hear me? Lovely to see you. How's everything going there, and what's the atmosphere like in Mexico?
Hi Karim, everything here is amazing. People is really exciting. The atmosphere in the city is really cool. You can see target faces everywhere around the finals venue. So we are ready to start, and I actually have to run and grab some athletes. So I hope you enjoy it and have fun watching.
We certainly will have fun watching, won't we? The first draw that we're going to see is going to be the compound women's. And of course, the big story there is the tussle between the greatest of all time, Sara Lopez from Colombia, and the breakthrough athlete of the season from Great Britain, Ella Gibson.
I'm really happy to see Ella doing so well, because for a long time I was the only one that was shooting above 7 and 10. For a lot of years we were in the shadow of the guys, and if we can keep that going on, we can prove everyone that women deserve more.
It's been a little bit crazy. I learned a lot last year and I gained a bit more experience to be able to help me this year. There's that saying that the more you train, the luckier you get.
Ooh, what a shoot-off that was! And Ella Gibson of Great Britain takes a second stage win.
Seeing her shooting that well and so relaxed, like you don't see her struggle. It just comes natural for her. So that makes me work harder.
I've seen obviously what she's done, and I have a lot of respect for the level that she shot at a time when no one else was doing it, and how she's helped progress the compound women forward. A little bit more drive in her than a lot of other archers, a little bit more belief that she can shoot at a high level all the time.
The match is over, but can she do this? Yes, she can! That is a perfect 150. Sara Lopez is back.
So being at the top is horrible, because everyone expects you to keep that level. I've been in the top for 10 years. And I don't feel like being number 2 in the world is the worst thing ever. Some people see that, but I'm just number 2. It just happened that everyone else got better.
For me, world rankings, it's really important. It's been a big goal of mine that I've wanted to become number 1 in the world. I was not expecting it this year or planning it this year. This year I plan to be in the top 10. So I went into that match like I had with Antalya and Paris. You know, I'm going to shoot my arrows, I'm going to shoot at my level, but I'm not going to let her beat me because I've dropped my level. And just remembering that shooting 10s is actually really easy.
I was focusing so much on the finals at the mixed team event that I lost my focus. I always like to say that I work hard, but God is the one that decides who gets the medal, and God decided it was for Ella. It's really difficult, and it's like you have to be in your best day. Yeah, like everything has to work so perfectly for you to shoot those scores. She was doing amazing here in Medellin. So you have to be so confident in your bow and in your technique that you don't think about anything else. Just shoot.
For the shoot-off anymore, and she is through, and she's done just that.
There's obviously going to be a lot of pressure on me because of the season I've had this year, but there'll equally be a lot of pressure on her.
The great form of British archer Ella Gibson continues here.
I haven't had medal expectations on any of the events, and yeah, I've won them. It's been a crazy season already. I think asking for a World Cup final win would be asking a lot.
A 5 will guarantee the win. It's just in the 9, and now Ella Gibson has taken her 3rd of a hat-trick of titles. Gold for Gibson.
Who doesn't like a sporting rivalry? And we've definitely got one here, haven't we?
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant for the women's compound game. Like Sara Lopez was saying there, she's been on top for so long, and now she's really being pushed and everyone's coming through, so it's just brilliant.
They are definitely, though, on very different paths at the moment. If you look at performance trajectory, you don't want to get too geeky at the moment, but as you say, Sara's been right at the top, but if anything, she's just started to have a little dip in performance at the same time as Gibson has broken through. Very different pathways at the moment.
Yeah, but there's only one way to go, isn't there? When you have been world number one for that long, you've been in the top, you've always been expected to win. Now suddenly she's not quite. But I think the stat from Colombia of her arrow average was 9.79 or something. She's not performing badly. Ella's just blasted onto the season this year and shot incredibly well.
Yeah, and they've met on a number of occasions this season as well, especially in of note in the final of the World Games, which is the Olympic Games for compound archers, and Gibson won that one as well. So is she becoming a little bit of a bogey opponent for Lopez?
Possibly a bit of a nemesis, isn't she? But here's an opportunity. I mean, maybe the pressure has swung back the other way. At the beginning of the season, Ella had no pressure on her. She didn't even expect a podium, really. And now all eyes are on Ella. So what's going to happen at this World Cup final? It's really going to be an interesting one.
And mental health's become a hot topic in sport, now starting to get very well documented, as it should be. And Lopez spoke to us on the Archery show earlier on this season about the struggles that she's had. But it does look like she's starting to come out of those.
Yeah, I mean, her performance, like I say, in Colombia, she lost that semi-final to Ella, but then she went on to shoot a world record pass of a 150 clean with 11 X's. So I think she's fighting those demons. She's, able to perform when she needs to. So, yeah, I think she's right on track.
But they can't meet until the final because they're at the top and the bottom of the draw. The top two seeds in each of the disciplines, of course, going top and the bottom. But it's time for your shot anatomy, and we are going to focus on Ella Gibson and how she has become so strong. I mean, what are the key things you would say to her? We talk about consistency of process, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Ella's just popped up out of nowhere, but in fact, she has been working really hard for many years, particularly the last 3-4 years. She chose to be a full-time archer and not go to university. She spends hours testing equipment, tinkering, working on her equipment. And the goal, like I say, the goal this year wasn't even to get on a podium, and in 3 appearances, she's got 3 gold medals. But her technique is pretty standard, if I'm honest, but it's brilliantly standard. It's, fantastic follow-throughs, execution of the shot, and she's beginning to do this so many times now. She's getting that consistency that under pressure, she can still make this happen. You can just see those follow-throughs each time of the shot, even almost loading the next arrow and putting her release aid onto the string again. Everything's the same every single time.
Yeah, fantastic performance from her. It's lovely to see an athlete like her breaking through and changing that focus as well to, like she's saying, deciding not to go on to further education and really knuckling down, and perhaps benefited from the COVID break.
Yeah, I think she probably did. She had an opportunity to shoot in her father's warehouse, so she had lots of opportunities, lots of practice. I mean, it's a risk to put all your eggs on one basket and not have that career side. Archery doesn't go on forever. Eventually you'll stop being an athlete, and I think it's good to have another focus. But at the moment, this is clearly working really well for her. She's got the right mindset, she's attacking it, and she's been really successful.
So do you see this as a sporting rivalry that is going to continue for a few more years to come?
I hope so. I mean, Sarah has been there for such a long time, and I hope she continues, because they will push each other. You need each other to get even higher, to get even better, and challenge the men a bit more, and start putting in bigger and bigger scores. Yeah,
and Lopez talks passionately about women in archery as well, so that is a key thing for her. And obviously Ella Gibson, as a younger archer coming through, is fantastic for the women's side of the sport. Unfortunately for us, the women's side of the sport is leaving us for the coaching ground. Nikki, you've already started with GB Archery, and it's meant that we've had Chef van den Berg from the Netherlands come into the commentary position, and we're lucky enough to have him here today to give us his expert opinion on this competition. Chef, good morning. Have you been to bed yet?
Yeah. I have tried to go to bed, but it's either too late to go to bed or too early to not go to bed. So somewhere in the middle.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. We haven't got you for too long. I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear that. You can get back to your snooze button. But you've competed in this competition. You know how big it is. You know how important it is. I wanted to ask you about the strategy, the game plan, because this is very different to the circuit competitions leading up to it.
Yeah, I think getting to the World Cup final is the most difficult part. So when you're there, you just have three matches to win the whole thing. Um, Not to say that's easy because I've never been able to do that, but you're already in the last eight, so you don't have to go through that whole like what is it, 128 to 64 to 32. So yeah, actually, it's one of the easier competitions if you look at it in that regard.
And you don't have you don't have that requirement of it's the 72 hours, for example, at the beginning for seeding. So how do you handle the draw at the very beginning, which we're going to see a little bit later on?
Well, you just have to go with it. There's nothing you can do to change the outcome of the draw, so might as well just prepare as good as you can for whatever match you're going to go into. But essentially, it doesn't matter who you shoot against because you have to bring your A game anyways, especially at the World Cup final.
They do indeed. Nikki, I think you had a question for Chef as well.
Yeah, I just wondered how you found like being in those matches. I think for me the first arrow was okay and I got a bit more nervous on the third arrow each end. What was it like for you? How did you manage with the nerves?
For me, it was more the first end that I had to get through. The first one or two arrows were always a bit shaky, and then as soon as I really got into the match, I really grew into it, and I felt more comfortable, typically speaking.
Got to ask you just on a personal note, Chef, are you enjoying doing the commentary now that you've stepped away from the shooting line?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, my wife tells me that if I'm not doing it for you guys, I'm doing it on the couch to her. So I might as well do it with an audience.
Well, you need to do it with an audience right now because we want to have your predictions for the 4 different disciplines. So we're going to start with the recurve men's discipline. I want to know who you think is going to win and why.
I'm going to say Kim Woo-jin, not only because he has had a very good season, but also because the last showing we had from him was, I think, Medellin. And there he seemed unbeatable. The level he showed there was immense in my opinion.
Do you think he's back to his best?
Yeah, he might be. He might be. I haven't seen any 700 plus scores from him anytime recent, but yeah, I think his finals shooting is very very good at the moment.
Yeah, he's set up for the knockouts. Okay, well, recurve women then. Who do you think is going to win it and why?
I think it might be An San again. I think she might bring whatever she brought to Tokyo to clinch those 3 gold medals.
Yeah, and keeping that consistency, something that other athletes that did well in Tokyo failed to do.
Yeah. So the fact that she did such a historic thing with all 3 golds, I think that shows how good she is or how good she can be, and I hope to see it this weekend as well.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so on to the compound discipline. We'll start with the men first. Who do you think is going to take the finals gold and why?
I feel like I've been a bit boring this season, so I've only picked Mike because it's the obvious choice, and he's one of my personal heroes. But I've went against the grain here, and I've gone for Nicolas Girard because I think we've seen some moments of brilliance from him in this season, and I hope that we can see more of that this weekend.
Got to ask you another one, but looking for a little bit of inside knowledge here as well. Mr. Perfect, Mikey Schlosser, he's had a couple of wobbles this season on the shooting line for all to see. Obviously, really tricky to watch it. You and I have sat watching it, commentating. Yeah. Do you think he's recovered from that?
I hope so. I hope to see Mike in his prime form, but I haven't really shot with him or spoken to him about shooting ever since we saw him struggle with that on the finals venue. So I wouldn't know for sure.
No, we'll find out very soon. So the last one, Chef, before we let you get back to your beauty sleep, your much needed beauty sleep, I should say. I had to get you back. No one forgets that word. We're not going to go there. The compound women's discipline. Well, who do you think is going to win that and why?
I feel like it's an either or here. I think I've gone for Ella Gibson because she has been the predominant leader in the compound women category this year. But it's a difficult one because all of the 8 competitors are very capable, and especially looking at Sarah Lopez and her 11x 150 in Medellin. It's a tough call, but I went for Ella Gibson just because of the sheer performance this whole season.
And are you enjoying that rivalry as much as Nikki and I are?
Yeah, I am, and it could have been anyone, but right now Ella and Sarah are the best matched compound women on the venue, I think, at this moment.
Well, Chef, thanks very much for joining us. I look forward to, as I'm sure all our audience do, to hearing you in the commentary box next season. It's just coming up to 25 minutes to 3 o'clock in the morning there in the Netherlands, so we better let you get to sleep.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Chef. Good night. Chef Vandenberg there, brilliant stuff from him. Really good insight as well. And not calling Mikey Schlosser. Not sure he's going to be spoken to by the Dutch team. But look, the wait here is almost over. We've got 4 draws coming up. We start very soon. It's almost time for the compound women's draw for the Hyundai Archery World Cup finals. Let's take a quick look back over the season.
The 2022 Hyundai Archery World Cup is back. Well, this is what it's all been building up to. Quality is impeccable so far.
There's twitching, there's nerves.
Oh, it's a brilliant, perfect score. Ella Gibson has got her first Hyundai Archery World Cup stage medal, and it's a gold one. Oh my goodness me, the bravery to hold on. Kim Jun-hee of Korea has taken the gold medal in Gwangju. She won in Antalya, she won in Paris, and now Ella Gibson has taken her 3rd of a hat-trick of titles.
Ella and Sarah, you look beyond that. Who would be your pick? We've got to take those 2 out because you've spoken about it. We've seen the rivalry between them. Chef's spoken about it. Let's look at who else might be contending for it.
Yeah, I think Alejandra Escuano has probably got a good chance. She actually got gold at the finals back in 2013. She's been around for such a long time. She's a great competitor. She seems to have come back into form over these last couple of years as well with some stage silvers. Other than that, perhaps Tanya Galantine, again another good contender, particularly last season. She shot really, really well and got herself into that sort of top 4 a few times. So those are probably the top names, I would say.
So Gibson and Lopez go top and bottom of the draw as number 1 and number 2 seeds, but the host nation also get a wild card coming in, or a host nation place, but it's no ordinary host nation place in this discipline. Andrea Becerra is pretty handy. She's got a chance at least of a medal.
Yeah, she's only 22. She's pretty young. She hasn't actually won an individual medal on the World Cup circuit, but she did make the World Cup finals last year of her own right, and she came 5th there. So she's got that experience behind her. She also got a bronze medal at the World Champs last year, so she's got potential.
Yeah, so we've also got Escuano. You mentioned her the second Colombian in there with Quintero, Yatma, Kim, and as you said, Galantine as well. So a real mixture. And who would the guys be looking to avoid? That's the key thing, and I guess we're going to find out very, very shortly who they're going to draw. So Gibson and Lopez top and bottom of the draw. Let's go and join the action in Mexico, where I think they're about ready to get the compound women's draw underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the first of our match draws. This is for the compound women's competition. Let's meet the archers. Introducing, representing Mexico In her second consecutive Hyundai Archery World Cup final, Andrea Becerra. Representing Denmark, two-time World Cup final medalist, Tanja Galentin. Representing Korea, former World Archery Champion, Kim Yoon-hee. Representing Estonia, in her debut at the Hyundai Archery World Cup final, Lisel Yadma. Representing Mexico, double stage medalist in 2022, Dafne Quintero. Representing Colombia, 2023-2013, Archery World Cup champion Alejandra Usquiano. And please welcome your top seeds for this event who will take their positions on the stage. Representing Colombia, six-time Hyundai Archery World Cup champion Sara Lopez. Representing Great Britain, triple stage winner and world number 1, Ella Gibson. Invitamos al secretario de la Gobernación, el ingeniero Sergio González Hernández, para el sorteo. Okay, we're going to draw the positions in the bracket. First, we're going to put one archer in each match. Then we're going to fill the matches from the middle out, finishing with the opponent of the number 1 seed. So let's begin. Estonia, Lisel Yadma in position 5. For the last empty match, Denmark, Tanja Galentin in position 4. The opponent of position 5 will be Mexico, Andrea Becerra. In position number 6. The opponent of position 4 will be Colombia, Alejandra Usquiano, on position number 3. The opponent of our second seed will be Korea, Kim Yoon-hee. And that leaves the opponent of our top seed, Mexico, Dafne Quintero, on position number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for your campaign Women's Elite 8. Athletes, please leave the stage for that side. And we will be back in just a few moments for the next draw.
Well, that is the end of the first draw. So we got a good shape of how things look out in Tlaxcala, which is our first opportunity to see that. And the key thing for me here is the two Mexicans have missed each other and the two Colombians have missed each other. And in fact, they've both ended up in opposite sides of the draw. So we could end up with an all-Mexican final, we could end up with an all-Colombian final. Anything in particular stick out for you there?
I think it's probably quite a mixed bag, isn't it, really? So there's no real, match to avoid, I guess, right now. I think there's a fairly even draw all the way through. So Ella's drawn Quintero, who is, she's fairly young, 20 years old, just kind of come on the season this last year with a bronze and silver medal, but that could go either way, couldn't it? Young and maybe not huge expectations, but she's shown she can shoot as well. So
Lopez and Kim Yun Hee, that's a potential banana skin, isn't it?
It is potentially, but it's been a while since the Korean, world champion in 2015, quite a while ago. And like I say, no World Cup medals. Well, the only World Cup medal she got is on home soil this year. So I think, no one is ever safe, are they? But I think Sarah will get through that first round.
And I fancy Lizar Yatma to come through there. She's shown a real increase in performance. But going up against Bethera, the host nation, will have a huge amount of backing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, home soil, just, the lack of having to travel, all the normal things around you, food and everything else. But like you say, Yatma's really come on, through the youth ranks with her brother in the mixed team, got a lot of experience there, and that really helps on these finals venues.
But do we think it's going to be Lopez and Ella Gibson? Are you still getting that feeling?
I think it will be, and I hope it will be, because I just think it'll be a brilliant match, and it really will be a nail-biter as to who will win.
Yeah, really. Well, that sporting rivalry continues, and it'll be interesting to see how both of them have reacted to that draw. I saw, Lizar Yatma looking quite happy with her draw, and I think Bethera was looking quite happy. Maybe they're just happy to be out there and back on it. But it'd be interesting to see what both Lopez and Gibson think after the draw. It's so important, the draw, isn't it? When you're 1 and 2 seeds, you're apart from each other,
yeah.
But you don't want a really tricky draw in that first match, because as you said, those nerves can really get to you. And I think we might well have a bit of a chance to speak with Great Britain's Ella Gibson to get her reaction from the draw. Let's go over to Tlaxcala in Mexico.
You are here in Tlaxcala in Mexico, and this is your first World Cup final, and you're shooting against Daphne Quintero from Mexico. How do you feel about that match?
I think it's going to be a really great tight match. We shot against each other in Colombia for the gold, and I know it was really tight all the way. So I think it's going to be an interesting one, but at the end of the day, there are 7 other girls out here that are all more than capable of winning this event.
So coming here, did you practice thinking about specific archers, or you were like, I'm just going to do my job and whoever archer I shoot against?
Honestly, I didn't really think about anyone specifically. I know every person out there is capable of shooting a 149 or a 150, and I just have to try and stick to myself and see what happens on the day and hopefully shoot well enough to beat whoever I'm against.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Mexico and good luck in the final venue.
Thank you.
She makes it sound nice and simple, doesn't it? She looks very relaxed. She's very well trained in front of the camera and doing her interviews, but there must be some nerves. Come on.
Yeah, I think there are nerves, but I think the right attitude is not to think about, I guess, who you're going to shoot against, because running through 7 scenarios of all these different people who you may shoot against is pretty tiring and difficult, whereas actually it's me and the target. That's what Ella's game plan was just there, and that's much easier to stick to think about, and ultimately that's all you've got to do. Your opponent can't touch you. We talked a little bit about tactics, haven't we, from Sarah Lopez in the past, perhaps, in terms of shooting very, very quickly, giving your opponent less recovery time, but that's about the only kind of influence you can really have on your opponent.
Can't wait. But I'm afraid we're going to have to turn our attention now to the men's draw, the compound men's draw. Let's take a look back over their season.
This is going to be a measure of a man's mental discipline. Mike Schlusser topped the podium for the 2nd consecutive time this season. How's that happened? Match that kept giving right the way till the end. What a win for Nicolas Girard in front of his home crowd. This mountain is getting steeper and harder to climb. Lutz for gold. He's qualified for the Hyundai Archery World Cup final. Perfect finish.
Another fine 8 archers lined up there. Some of you guys have been doing these predictions, and if you look on the World Archery website, you can see Nicky's predictions. Chef has given his live here on the Archery Show. I guess I'm not surprised necessarily, but it's unusual how many of you guys, not necessarily you, but have picked Nicolas Girard from France for the win. Yes, for a medal, but a couple of you guys have picked him for the win. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like you say, I didn't, but I can see why people have. 22-year-old, world number 5 now he is. He's been coming through the ranks, and then to go and win his home World Cup this year in Paris. So he's shown he can do it. He's shown he can mix with the best. And I think, again, just momentum swinging with a youngster who probably doesn't got many bad experiences, and he's just focused on, you know, what he can do. It could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and I mean, I know compound's not obviously in the Olympic schedule for Paris 2024. Fingers crossed for the compound as it gets in for 28. But there seems to be a real resurgence in the whole of French archery over the last 12, sort of 15 months.
Yeah, I mean, Home Olympics is coming, and I think whether you're the recurve side of the sport, the Olympic side of the sport, or the compound, you'll get dragged along together. We compete side by side at every other event. It is our sport. You know, recurve and compound, all these World Cups we go to. So, yeah, you're going to get moved along by that momentum of a home Olympics coming your way and the excitement of your country. So I think it will boost them as well.
Well, enough about France and Girard. There's 7 others in there. But I think the striking thing about this group, though, is that the youth versus experience element, it's almost a 50-50 split. It's quite phenomenal when you look at the likes of Schlosser, who we know really well, the top seed, along with Fullerton, who's coming through. You've got Gelantine in there, 2 USA athletes, Gelantine and Lutz, again, opposite ends of their careers, if you like. Lutz right at the beginning, Gelantine not necessarily right at the end, but certainly a long way into it.
I think we see that sort of bigger age gap, I guess, in compound, because I don't think it's as harsh on the body. I think you can train for longer over many years. These archers are still shooting a lot of arrows. It's a skill sport where they'll probably be shooting 6 days a week. But after you've shot, you know, probably into your millionth arrow, you know your shot routine, you know what you're doing, and you probably don't have to train as hard. So it allows, I think, in compound, the age gap to be that little bit bigger. Yeah,
I think you're right, but it does create for a really interesting set of draws. I mean, I wonder if we're going to end up with 4 younger athletes against older athletes, and it'll be a real contest to see who's going to come out on top. So that draw is coming up very, very soon. In fact, I think it's just about time for us to head back to Tlaxcala in Mexico for the compound men's draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the second of our match draw. This is for the compound men's competition. Let's meet the archer. Introducing, representing Mexico, reigning World Games champion, Miguel Becerra. Representing the USA, former World Archery champion, James Lutz. Representing the USA, 2-time Hyundai Archery World Cup champion, Braden Gelantine. Representing France, winner of the stage in Paris, Nicolas Girard. Representing Puerto Rico, in the country's debut at this event, Jean Pizarro. Representing France, world number 3, Jean-Philippe Boulge. And please welcome your top seeds for this event who will take their positions on the stage. Representing Denmark, 19-year-old world number 4, Matthias Fullerton. Representing the Netherlands, defending Hyundai Archery World Cup champion and world number 1, Mike Schlosser. Invitamos a la magistrada presidenta del Tribunal Superior de Justicia, Maricruz Cortés, para el sorteo. We're going to draw the positions in the bracket. First, we're going to put one archer in each match. Then we're going to fill the matches from the middle out, finishing with the opponent of the number 1 seed. So, let's begin. United States of America, Braden Gellentine, position number 5. For the last empty match, Mexico, Miguel Becerra, on position number 4. The opponent of position number 5 will be Puerto Rico, Jan Pizarro, in position number 6. The opponent of position 4 will be France, Jean-Philippe Boulge, on position number 3. The opponent of our second seed will be France, Nicolas Girard, on position number 7. And that leaves the opponent of our top seed, United States of America, James Lutz, on position number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause of your compound Men's Elite 8. Athletes, please leave the stage to your left side, and we'll be back in just a few moments for the next draw.
Okay, the first thing I have to say is we both looked at each other when that first name came out, Braden Gellentine, and when he stepped up onto the stage, he fist bumped, and he meant that, thank goodness, I don't have to face the number 1 or number 2 seed in the competition. So first we looked at each other, then he did that, so we know that's the best position for him, right?
Yeah, you want to be called up first and be furthest away from those 2 top seeds, so yeah, ideal place for him to be in his mind, so that's why he was so happy about it.
And if you look at who he's drawn as well, I mean, they fist bumped each other when they came out. Clearly, they know each other.
Yeah.
But that's a dream draw for Gellentine, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably is. You know, Pizarro's done amazingly well to get this far this year. He got 4th in Antalya and Medellin, but for me, he's just not quite the same level as some of these other guys here. So he's world ranked 11th. That's pretty good, but there's some real quality.
Well, before we get to the big names, in terms of the top 2 seeds, I mean, what about the little enlarged show in the second quarter final? The whole crowd had a good giggle about that. JP Bush, I mean, towered over Becerra.
Yeah, he really did. I think they looked at each other and kind of laughed as well. And you know, JP Bush, he's just such a massive figure, isn't he? And he makes the compound bow look like a toy almost. And that's got to give you a lot of stability, a lot of strength. This is really about holding that bow really still and making that good shot. So maybe that's an advantage, but you know, Becerra here is the host nation pick. But I mean, in himself, he's a world ranked number 8. He won the World Games this year as well. So it's a pretty good match, that.
Talking about a good match, what about the one at the bottom of the draw, Fullerton versus Girard? We talked about Girard. We haven't really talked too much about Matthias Fullerton, the number 2 seed coming into this, number 4 in the world. He looks like a kid.
Yeah, he does, 19-year-old versus the 22-year-old. So this is probably the youth match, isn't it, as you were saying before. I mean, Fullerton, he makes the top 4 a lot. We see him around quite a lot, but I don't think he's actually individually medalled on the World Cup stage. He's there and he's about, but he doesn't always convert. He was 4th in the World Cup final last year, again, just missing the podium. So is it his time to shine? You know, is he going to break through and actually get himself on those steps?
And the last one, of course, is Schlosser against Lutz. And I think we're gonna have one of them for an interview very shortly. So a quick word on that one.
I mean, they both have interesting techniques at times, don't they? I don't think it's going to be the prettiest match of all. I think we're going to see quite a bit of Bo Kondo in that match, and it'll be another great one.
Yeah, so for Mike Schlosser, I think that may be the one athlete he wanted to avoid, along with perhaps Braden Gellenstein. But then you look at Bush and Girard, does he want either of those athletes either? He knew he was going to miss out on Fullerton, but Jimmy Lutz versus Mike Schlosser, that's not a bad start. I wonder what Mike Schlosser's thinking about that one, but I think we may have a quick word with Jimmy Lutz from the USA. So we're going to throw back to Tlaxcala in Mexico for the compound men's draw reaction from the USA's Jimmy Lutz.
James Lutz from the US, you are shooting against Mike Schlosser from the Netherlands. How do you feel about this match?
I feel good. I mean, all 7 of the other guys here are just as good as each other. You know, I mean, he's the 1 seed, so it's going to be tough. But me and Mike have good matches all the time. So
yeah, and
it's. I mean, no matter who you draw, it's not who you want to shoot against here. So.
Yes, and you have beaten Mike before, right, in a match?
Yep.
So are you going into the final match with that in mind, or you're just going to take it as any other archer?
Well, I feel like every match against Mike is essentially a gold medal match, just because, you know, if you get past him, most of the time the road's easier. He's the best there is, so to start out with it, I mean, it's going to be good to start out with a bang, and you never know what can happen. So.
Well, good luck and welcome to Mexico.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, I think that one's going to be a strong one, Nikki. Jimmy Lutz there looking very happy with the result that was the draw, and I think he is quite relaxed. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time to rest on his laurels, or our laurels at least, because we're going straight into the next draw as we move over to the Recurve women's division. Before we get to it, let's have a little look back at the season.
Place in the World Cup final at stake here in Antalya for the Recurve women. There's that look of concern again. Katharina Bauer, just a stronger archer. Nerves creeping in. Bryony Pittman of Great Britain booked her place at the Hyundai Archery World Cup final. A 7 for Choi to take a win at home. She's booked her place in the grand finale. Agu does it with a 9. What a win here in Paris. So Lee shoots first. And Sam booked her place in Tlaxcala. What a win.
There's only really one question. Let's get out of the way early. Can anyone beat the 2 Koreans?
I think it's going to be really tough. You know, we know how strong the Koreans are in women's recurve archery particularly. Yeah, I think Ansan and Choi Mi-sun will probably go all the way through, but there's some other good contenders in there as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about Ansan and Chef. Well, he took the lines from us, as he always normally does. Getting that historic triple gold at Tokyo Olympic Games, that, I mean, will obviously go down in history forever, but it was the way that she delivered it. It was so competent, so confident, and done with great respect, as all Korean archers do shoot.
Absolutely. For me, like this year, she's not been as good. I think there's a little bit of that post-Olympic blues almost. Okay, her world ranking is still really high because she is the current Olympic champion, so you hold on to those points much longer. But for me, Choi is my pick over Ansan because she's more relevant right now. She's won that second stage of the World Cup out in Gwangju. I just think she's just a bit more relevant right now.
Okay, so let's look at the others. I think most I think all you experts have picked one or t'other of the Koreans to take the gold, but there are 6 other contenders in there. Let's have a quick look at them. The host nation place for Alejandra Valencia. That's another big, an athlete that not necessarily you expect to qualify because there's so few places, but it's not a bad one to pull out for your host nation spot, is it?
Well, just a current Olympic bronze mixed team medalist,
Yeah.
world ranked 16th. Yeah, she's a great contender. She's been on the scene quite a while, lots of experience. Wild card, I mean, that again takes the pressure off a little bit probably.
Yeah, and then you look at the likes of Utani from Japan and Kuo Tzu-ying from Chinese Taipei. I mean, of course, Chinese Taipei have got 2 athletes in their Peng Pat's a little bit more known, but Utano and Kuo, relative unknowns, really.
Yeah, but again, they've been there, haven't they? They've been up there and around, and the depth in Asia is so great, and they have their own championships. They have such high level competitions, probably higher level than this, where we have to have a mixture of different countries involved. So they'll really be good under pressure.
And 2 athletes coming back. Well, the first one, Bryony Pritnam from Great Britain, who really starting to climb up through the rankings. We talked about the British team with Ella Gibson. What about the Germans? Katharina Bauer.
Yeah, Katharina Bauer is a really interesting one. World ranked number 3 at the moment. Missed out on Tokyo last year. She's spoken about her disappointment about that, but also how that's fired her and fueled her to come back even stronger and have learnt from that disappointment. She got bronze in Antalya this year, so we know she can do it.
Yeah, so 2 Koreans, 2 athletes from Chinese Taipei and a Japanese athlete in there as well. Make this a very Asian flavoured discipline for the draw. That is, they're about to get ready, in fact, in Tlaxcala for that one. But it'll be interesting to see who those top 2 seeds face in their first match. Not long to wait either. It is now time to go back to Mexico for the draw for the Recurve women's competition here at the finals.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the third of our match draws. This is for the Recurve women's competition. Let's meet the archers. Introducing, representing Mexico, Olympic mixed team bronze medalist Alejandra Valencia. Representing Japan, winner of the stage in Paris, Utano Agu. Representing Chinese Taipei, runner-up the stage in Paris, Peng Chia Mao. Representing Great Britain, winner of the stage in Antalya, Bryony Pittman. Representing Chinese Taipei in her debut at the Hyundai Archery World Cup final, Kuo Tzu-ying. Representing Germany, world number 3, Katharina Bauer. And please welcome your top seeds for this event who will take their positions on the stage. Representing Korea, Tokyo 2020 Olympic champion and world number 1, An San. Representing Korea, 2015 Archery World Cup champion, Choi Mi-soon. We're going to draw positions in the bracket. First, we're going to put one archer in each match. Then, we're going to fill the matches from the middle out, finishing with the opponent of the number 1 seed. So, let's begin. Japan, Utano Agu, on position number 5. For the last empty match, Germany, Katharina Bauer, on position number 4. The opponent on position 5 will be Chinese Taipei, Peng Chiamao, on position number 6. The opponent of position number 4 will be Mexico, Alejandra Valencia, on position number 3. The opponent of our second seed will be Chinese Taipei, Kuo Tzu Ying, on position number 7. And that leaves the opponent of our top seed on position number 2, Great Britain, Bryony Pittman. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for your Recurve Women Elites 8. Athletes, please leave the stage for your left side, and we'll be back just in a few moments for the next draw.
I'm looking at that going, oh, I don't know where to start. Look, if you look at let's look in the middle of the draw to start with. We both looked at each other. Bauer, Valencia. That's a tough draw, isn't it?
It is, you know, both vibrant archers, a lot of fire, a lot of energy. Oh, I think, you know, Alejandra's got the wild card, so perhaps less pressure, but Bauer's got the fight and determination to get through this at the moment. So, oh, so hard to call. That's
going to be a big one.
Yeah.
And of course, that's in the top half of the draw. No one wanted to face Choi. No one wanted to face An San either. But Bryony Pittman's going to have Choi Mi Sun in the top half of the draw. Here he is, in fact. I mean, that top half, it's a horror show, isn't it?
Well, there's just all that depth, isn't there? So, yeah, it's going to be really difficult matches, I guess. And interesting, like Europe is over here, and then we've got Chinese Taipei over here as well. So yeah, they've kind of split off, haven't they? So we can't have 2 Chinese Taipei in the gold match, and we can't have 2 European archers in the gold match. So it's broken up a little bit in regionally.
Do you think that the 2 Koreans are going to be relatively? Would they have been happy with any of the opponents they had? I suppose is the first.
I think so. I mean, you know, the depth and strength of Korea. I think the trials to get even onto the Korean team are so difficult. I think you're at the point where it doesn't matter who you're shooting against, is it? And that's probably the mentality all of these archers need to have. It's just them the target, run your process, don't try and shoot against the archer next year, just do your thing.
Yeah, I don't think you could call an underdog in this quarterfinal, but there are clear underdogs in the other ones. Could any of them cause an upset here?
I mean, yeah, Bryony Pittman's an underdog, but she's also number two.
Yeah, stage winner.
Stage winner.
Yeah.
She's got silver at the World Games. She just got silver at the World Field Championships as well. So, she's shooting incredibly well, and yet we call her an underdog. It's just crazy, isn't it? But that's how strong the Korean women are, and we know, every Olympic women's team medal has been taken by the Koreans, and then Ansan went and won 3. All opportunities. It's so difficult to get past them.
So we have to say this is the arguably the most competitive of the 4 quarterfinals. Do you think the winner of this one can trouble the winner of the top one? Let's keep it as the winner of the top one.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think if you have a really strong competitive match and you win, you're in a really good mental state then going into the next match. If you just kind of win it because your opponent didn't shoot very well, it sometimes doesn't give you a lot of confidence. But if you've had a really competitive, really good match, then sometimes, that gives you the flow, momentum and the confidence to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really tricky draw, this recurve women's. But I have to say that second quarterfinal is really tough. And we've got a chance to have a chat with Katarina Bauer to see what she thinks of the draw against the host nation's Alejandra Valencia.
Katarina Bauer from Germany. How do you feel about the draw?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm excited for Sunday. We will see.
So how do you get here? How do you get to the World Cup final? How do you prepare yourself?
Yes, well, normally in September I would have regeneration, means 3 weeks off, but I skipped the 3 weeks to prepare for here, and I went to the Biter Center to shoot 70 meters indoor because at home the weather isn't that good. And trained a lot with the national head coach Oliver Hayden to get a good technique to shoot here, and did a lot of matches against some teammates at home. Yeah, that's it.
Good. And how do you feel about shooting here in Mexico, in Tlaxcala, with all the people? Did you see everyone outside? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I know how it feels when it's loud, because when we had our European Championship in June, we were on home soil and it was super loud, super noisy, and I loved it. I tried to get influenced by the emotions of the crowd, so I'm really, really looking forward to Sunday.
Well, good. Best of luck for you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
She was, look, she's very disciplined in front of the camera and very disciplined with the media work, as a lot of these archers are now. But she was almost like she was going through the process and almost checking those things off in her head as she was saying, well, this is what I've telling her opponents. I've been training indoors, I'm ready for this competition, I didn't take my normal rest off.
Yeah, you've done everything you can do then, haven't you? And I think she raised a really good point there about Valencia's going to be there on home soil. Mexico's probably going to be quite loud, but Bauer coped really well at that home European champs this year, and that noise and environment, it was really compact. So she's had some good experience of that. So I think that is going to be, for me, like one of the most exciting matches actually. It's going to be high energy and a real tough one.
Mouth-watering prospect. That's 3 of 4 of the draws complete. Now we've got one more to go, and that is the draw for the recurve men's discipline. Let's go and take a look back over their season.
The 2022 Hyundai Archery World Cup is back in Antalya, Guangzhou, Paris, Medellin. Oh, brilliant finish. Measure does become important. The match stays alive here. Puts it into the 10. Just outstanding. Look what that means to him. Miguel Alvarino has booked his place in the finals. And what a performance from this Brazilian. Kim Woo-jin has found himself in a Hyundai Archery World Cup final. He's done it!
So got the Olympic champion Mete Gazos in the lineup, 5-time Hyundai Archery World Cup Finals winner Brady Ellison from the USA, and the Korean legend Kim Woo-jin. All three we could spend half an hour, one full archery show talking about. But instead, I want to ask you about the form of the Spaniard, Miguel Alvarino, because you don't often get to talk about these actually, but he's got a great chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's just come back out of nowhere, hasn't he? He was really good. In 2015, he actually won this World Cup finals in Mexico City. Back in Mexico again now, funny enough. But what an incredible season he's had. Won the first stage. You saw him on the podium again later in the season. So real form. He seems to have just blown away any problems mentally and he's just gone for it.
Yeah, he has this season, and he looks electric. Another athlete's gone for it and featured in our season roundup, Marcos de Almeida from Brazil. Stunning win in Paris.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but it's the biggest result he's had for a while.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he was a fantastic junior. Obviously, with the Rio Olympics, there was everything ahead of that, and he was bigged up as this amazing archer coming through, and then it all kind of went a bit quiet, didn't it? And I mean, there has been a change of coach there as well. So Alberto Gazzimi, he went over to Brazil about 6 months ago or so, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So has that changed things a lot for him? He won that stage in Paris, beating 2 Koreans there. So that fear of beating a Korean perhaps isn't a concern of his.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back to the big three again. Gazos and Ellison. Gazos, you talked about sort of post-Olympic blues. I call it a post-Olympic hangover. Gazos had a bit of a dip in form. Showed a little bit of recovery. Same with Ellison. Didn't have his mojo this season.
No.
Kim Woo-jin, on the other hand, firing. Of those three, who would be your pick?
Kim Woo-jin.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, he's won this 3 times before. He's an Olympic team gold medalist from Rio, Tokyo. He's just done everything, hasn't he? He's one of the best. He's world ranked number 2 at the moment. For me, he's a standout. Brady there's something missing with Brady this year. And it's hard to say that because I think he's world ranked number 1 at the moment. How can I say
Nikki,
there's something missing?
I'm going to have to stop you there because we're going to have to go and find out who these guys are going to face. It's time for the last time in the draw to head back to Tlaxcala in Mexico for the Recurve men's draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the last of our match draws. This is for the Recurve men's competition. Let's meet the archers. Introducing, representing Mexico in his debut at the Hyundai Archery World Cup final, Jesus Flores. Representing United States of America, 5-time Hyundai Archery World Cup champion and world number 1, Brady Ellison. Representing Brazil, winner of the stage in Paris, Marcos de Almeida. Representing Turkey, Tokyo 2020 Olympic champion, Mete Gasos. Representing Italy, Tokyo 2020 Olympic silver medalist, Mauro Nespoli. Representing Korea, double Olympic team gold medalist, Kim Jae-deok. And please welcome your top seeds for this event who will take their positions on the stage. Representing Spain, 2015 Archery World Cup champion, Miguel Alvariño Garcia. Representing Korea, triple and reigning world archery champion, Kim Woo-jin. Invitamos al secretario de Cultura, el arquitecto Antonio Martínez Velázquez, para el sorteo. We're going to draw the positions in the bracket. First, we're going to put 1 archer in each match. Then we're going to fill the matches from the middle out, finishing with the opponent of the number 1 seed. So let's begin. Turkey, Mete Gazoz. On position number 5. For the last empty match, in position number 4, United States of America, Brady Ellison. The opponent of position 5 will be Italy, Mauro Nespoli, on position number 6. The opponent of position number 4 will be Korea, Kim Jae-deok, on position number 3. The opponent of our second seed will be Brazil, Marcos de Almeida, on position number 7. And that leaves the opponent of our top seed on position number 2, Mexico, Jesus del Ángel Flores. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for your Recurve Men Elite 8. Athletes, please leave the stage for your left side.
Let's just have a look at that start of that draw. If you were going to call out 2 names to be separated from the top 2 seeds, wouldn't Gazos and Ellison be the 2?
Well, yeah, but then we've also got, 2 Koreans in the same side of the cut as well. So that's really interesting. There's just such big names in this draw.
I've
and
got the draw up.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, this is the compound women's draw that we've got up here in the studio. But we've got Kim Woo-jin versus Flores. The guy that's going to face him is the Mexican, who's the host nation card. That's a great match in a way for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be rude. It's probably the easiest match of them. They're the wild card. He's ranked 190th. So it's going to be an easy match, I think, for Kim Woo-jin just to walk straight through. But we've got Kim Jae-deok as well in that same half. So
but he's going to get past Brady Ellison.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's going to be a tough match in itself. But there's just something about Brady at the moment. Even his demeanour for me, walking on that stage, there's something missing. He hasn't got that fire and that energy. And Kim Jae-deok will bring that for sure.
And the other half of the draw, Mete Gazoz versus Nespoli, you said straight away.
Yeah, Olympic rematch, isn't it? So be interesting to see, can Mete, beat Nespoli again in that match, or is it, time for a comeback for Nespoli? Let's see.
And the last one, Alvarino versus De Almeida. Strong showing from both of them this season.
Yeah, it really is. Really hard to call. They're both on form. They've both got up there on the podium, and I don't know who's going to come out on top of that one.
So, do you think the top 2 seeds? I mean, if you look at the draw, if you look at both sides of the draw, I mean, it's just littered with great athletes. Kim Woo-jin, is he looking the favourite in the top still?
I mean, to get through the first match, yes, but then in the semi, whether Brady's on form here or his compatriot, that is going to be a really tough match to get through. And then on this side, I don't know, Gazoz isn't, like we said about the little blues really after Olympics. Has he really been on form? Perhaps Nespoli's chance to really come back.
Yeah. Which side of the draw, left or right, which side would you go?
I'd want to be over here.
Yeah.
I think
you're right. I think you're right. Away from the Koreans, away from Brady Ellison as well. Well, we've got one more interview left in Mexico, and it's the man whose mojo we've been talking about all season. Has he got it back? Let's go back to Mexico and find out what he thinks about the draw for the Recurve men's competition at the finals.
Brady Ellison from the US, you're showing against Kim Jae-deok from Korea. How do you feel about this match?
I think it'll be a good match. He beat me earlier in the year, so hopefully I can get him back this time. Got the good side of the bracket, with the two Koreans, so get through that first match and then hopefully get Kim in the semi. And I haven't beat him in a while, so it'd be nice to get him to get my 6th win. It's going to be a tough bracket, and I'm pretty excited to go shoot.
Yeah, that bracket sounds like it's a hard, tough bracket. So do you feel like it is indeed a tough bracket, or you feel like getting here, the top 8 archers in the world, any archer can give you a hard match?
Yeah, I mean, once we get here, we're the top 7 guys here, and then the host country always sends a good person, so it's going to be really good. I mean, all these matches are going to be tough. Everyone's had a good season. There's been a couple of months off for most everyone to get prepared for this, so I think it's going to be good. All the matches should be good. I'm excited to be on the side I am, get the draw I am, and now we just got to go to work.
So how do you feel this season was for you? Do you feel like this was a good season for you, an outdoor season?
No, actually I feel like my outdoor season was horrible this year, but shot just good enough to make another final, and done pretty well in these finals, so hopefully I could hold it together and medal again.
Making a final is a big deal, so welcome to Tlaxcala, congratulations, and good luck in the final.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and be in Mexico again.
I would suggest that from that, his mojo is back. Looking forward to going up against Kim Woo-jin. We haven't got too much time to dwell on that because that's all 4 draws done. But one thing we haven't done yet, Nikki, your favourite part of the archery show, where we push you into the corner and beat you into submission for your predictions for the winners. So I'm going to go back to the who and why. We're going to start with the recurve men's discipline. Who's your pick and why?
Yep, so I've gone for Kim Woo-jin. He's won this 3 times before. He's been there, he's done it. He's a 2-time Olympic team champion as well. He won the 2nd and the 4th stages this year, so he's definitely on form. He's also the current world champion. I mean, the list goes on, doesn't it? So for me, I think he's going to take the win.
Yeah, solid pick. We move straight on to the recurve women's discipline. Who and why?
So Choi Mi-sun, I think she's had a great year. She won out in Gwangju. She picked up a bronze in Paris as well. She's a Rio Olympic team champion, and she won this event in Mexico in 2015. So does she want to come back to Mexico and win it for the 2nd time?
Okay, well that's the recurvers done. Let's move on to the compounders. Compound men's discipline. Who's going to win it and why?
I don't think you can ever really bet against Mr. Perfect, so I picked out Mike Schlosser. He's just won everything there is to win. Former world indoor, outdoor, field world champion. He's won this 3 times before already as well, and again, he's on form. 2 golds and a bronze from this year. He has had a couple of little hiccups maybe along the way, and that might be interesting, but you just can't bet against him, I don't think.
I think you might well be right. Now for the trickiest one of the lot, the compound women's discipline. You've got to pick one name, I'm afraid. Who's it going to be and why?
Yeah, I've gone for Ella Gibson. 3 appearances this season, 3 gold medals. She also won the World Games as well this year. She's got that momentum. I think, Sara Lopez is the greatest of all time, but the swing at the moment is with Ella, and I think she'll go all the way.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your predictions, Nikki. Thanks for your time and your expertise in the show. That's it from us, from the Archery Show, and of course from the live draw in Tlaxcala in Mexico. Live coverage of the finals begins on Saturday at 10 a.m. local time in Mexico. That's 5 p.m. Central European time. There's loads of extra coverage as well all across World Archery's platforms. There are going to be preview shows, and then there's going to be post-analysis. The preview shows will start 1 hour before the live coverage, and then there'll be 45-minute wrap-up shows from Mexico, so you're likely to have some great content from the athletes in those shows as well. But that's it. Thanks to you, Nikki. Thanks to Linda, and of course Chef for joining us as well, and all the interviews, and of course you. Nikki and I will be back at 10 a.m. That's local time, 5 p.m. Central European time on Compound Saturday. See you then.